Episode 587 comes to you live on the 2nd of November 2022. Close encounters of the fourth kind. This is how you can describe three matches in the World Cup for India. They prevailed in two, and the third one did not go their way. And let's talk about that match first, and then we'll discuss the third match, which also went down to the wire, the last ball thriller, whatever you may want to call it. So after the India South Africa game, in which India only made around 130 and South Africa were 24 for 3, but the team was fustigated. They faced flag for dropping catches, maybe even dropping the cup, who knows, missing run out chances, which I think is too harsh as far as run out is concerned, because these things are just pure fluke. If the run out happens, it happens. You can't do anything if the run out is missed. It's just about how the fielder is going to do. If they hit, very good, as it happened today. I'll talk more on that. If they miss, they miss. I don't think missing runouts is sort of a sin, but we have pseudo experts sitting in their AC rooms, earning their paychecks for doing absolutely nothing in their entire career, pre and post retirement. When they were players, their contribution to the team was negligible, not even 0.1%, and they're not even known players. You look at their statistics, since they believe in statistics, their own statistics are of such kind that you would want to take a hard copy of their statistics, burn it, and then once again put it in the garbage dump or celebrate Lodi, which happens in India in January. You would want to use those statistics, those hard copy, and make it the part of the firewood. That's how these pseudo experts deserve it. But then they're sitting on the top of the mountain from which they don't deserve the view. They think that sitting on the top of the mountain, they can run their mouth, they can trash talk, they can do anything. They talk about statistics, then they try to manipulate the whole situation by saying statistics can be viewed in different ways. So they try to twist their own words. Well, one day avalanche is going to come, and these pseudo experts are going to spill in such a manner that they won't even know what hit them. Till the time they're enjoying the paycheck for basically doing nothing. They say they have worked for 15 years as players and post retirement and everything. Well, I don't know what 15 years they were doing. Were they sleeping? They were not even regular members. They were discarded from the team. They were lucky to get a commentary stint because there were not too many individuals who wanted to take it. So this group got it. I would name them, but then they should stop trash talking. They should stop fustigating on things like dropped catches when they would have not even taken one in their entire career at the lowest level or at the highest level. And run out, I think run out is something. If it happens, it's brilliant. If it's missed out, it's missed out. Like a penalty corner, you earn. If you earn the penalty corner, brilliant. You have earned the penalty corner. You have deceived the opposition team into conceding the penalty corner, like it often happens. Every time that a team concedes a penalty corner, knowing that how they conceded the penalty corner, they still do it. So if you score a penalty corner, brilliant. If you miss, brilliant. In football and hockey, if the goalkeeper misses the goal, when the goalkeeper was what one can say, the goalkeeper was flummoxed by the defender or the person scoring the goal. Every time it happens, they stand in such a position that the goalkeeper moves in one direction, the ball goes in the other direction. Poor goalkeeping, that's what we say, despite the fact that the goalkeepers are flying and they can easily be injured. We talk about, so a former expert said that wicket keepers have a thankless job. I think wicket keepers, goalkeepers, any such role is a thankless job, because they protect the goal from happening after all the hard work is done by the defenders and the forwards and the attackers, who make sure that the ball is always in the other half. But that's the way things work in this particular sport. So the team was fustigated. They faced flag for dropping catches, missing runouts, and after losing that game, everyone said a semi-final spot was slipping away. And therefore, all eyes were on tonight's encounter, rather this afternoon's encounter, which went slightly late into the evening. I'll tell you how all that happened. So the India-Bangladesh match, a highly anticipated clash. Yes, it doesn't get the same kind of emotions that our neighbors on the other side get, but then we all know what relations we have with our neighbors on the other side. With Bangladesh, we don't have that kind of matches, or they're few and far in between, and no one tries to hype it as much as they hype the other one, but I think they can hype it. So when someone told me they beat Bangladesh, what's the big deal? Well, in 20 overs, you beat a team like Scotland, it's a big deal. There are no minnows, there are no associate nations. I do not believe in such terms. So this afternoon's match was the close encounter of the fourth kind, and whatever errors were done in the last match, they were there for a while. So when India scored 6 for 184, it was thought to be a good score. And rain was always threatening to put a dampener on the match, and it almost did. When Bangladesh came out all guns blazing, when rain came, they were 66 for 0 in 7 overs, and at one point it looked the umpires would say, no, we are giving up. But the umpires thought otherwise. They said, no, let's wait for the rain. They went into extra time, an hour more than usually one would see in such games. And that's exactly how it worked out. After 7 overs at 66 for 0, they were 15-16 runs ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis method. And at that time, had rain not stopped, let's go into ifs and buts of this situation. Had the rain not stopped, Bangladesh would have got 2 points, and everyone would have said, what poor bowling. Could India would have got extra 20 runs. But the rain stopped. Players came into the field. The umpires, the match officials, the groundkeepers gave the green signal that the field of play, whether it's outfield, the infield, whatever it is, it was not that damp, and with good drainage system, the ground was cleared to play. And then the guy who was hitting fours and sixes was the first one to fall. And how did this individual fall? Through a run out from far. The same thing which was criticized, fustigated for the entire couple of days between the matches. That happened. And then there were a couple of dropped catches in that match, and one can say not good bowling, but they needed around 150 in 16 overs post the Duckworth-Lewis system, and that's exactly what happened. They did exactly that. India bowled well in that context, and as the rain started relenting, Bangladesh came under pressure. They were always under pressure in this match, with comments from their captain. I won't go into those comments because I don't even know if those comments were true. I have not read those comments, I have not seen the video on those comments, so I will not comment on something which I don't know anything about. I don't know how much of is it true that they said we have not come here to win. India may win, we have come here to upset a few apple carts. They nearly did that. The match went to the last over, and then the same individual who was fustigated at the Asia Cup found himself as the player of the match, the hero of the match in this particular match. So what happens? India are on 6 points, but qualification scenario is still open. There's still South Africa and our neighboring country. They will face tomorrow. Whichever team wins will also get an advantage. They will go slightly up. South Africa wins, then you might see India qualifying, because South Africa will end up at 7 points from 4 games. India has 6 points from 4 games. Bangladesh has 4 points from 4 games. So India's qualification scenario, I'm surprised it's still not there. If you can't qualify after doing all the hard work, and yes, there was a slippage, but it happens. There is no tournament in which a team goes unbeatable into the knockout stages. You always have one match where you face a lot of heat. Despite the fact that it was 16 degrees in that stadium, the team faced a lot of heat, a lot of flag. They were fustigated, but That match is forgotten. Tonight's match, they came through. Yes, it's against Bangladesh, not a relatively strong team. But then that's not their fault. Bangladesh, if they're not performing up to their potential, then that's on Bangladesh. If they collapse from 6-6 for 0 and eventually ended up at 6 for 145, falling short by 5 runs, despite them also giving all the effort, then that's the discussion between the captain, coach, team management, and the cricket governing body. That's not on me. We don't give them that kind of respect, but it's time we do. But will it happen? I do not know. If it does, let me know. And that's the interesting part. For a while, let's say I was also nervous when their opening batters started hitting fours and sixes, and it looked as if the game was going away. Then the rain came, then things started happening. Rain worked in favor of the bowling team. Usually, it doesn't work in favor of the bowling team because we have excuses like the ball is wet, the outfield will slow down, there'll be slippages, and all those things. But then they know it. It's not for the first time that these players or players before or before them have faced rains. But I think it could have gone either way. The umpires would have not waited an extra few minutes for the rain to end. They could have said in the manner of ifs and buts that we are giving the game to Bangladesh because we have crossed the threshold time, but they allowed the threshold time to come. Rain stopped, the outfield was drained, the groundkeepers, ground staff did everything to make sure that there would be a game. 60,000 people were waiting, so they were under pressure from that also, as you always are whenever an Indian game is involved. And rain came, it has affected other teams' qualification scenario. It affected England's qualification scenario nearly until they beat New Zealand last night, and it merely affected India's qualification scenario. But that's now in the past. It's in the vault, and let's see what happens in the remaining game because Bangladesh will face Pakistan in an important game in the last game. South Africa and Pakistan will face tomorrow, which will be a very interesting game, a game that can go to the wire because both teams have good set of fast bowlers. If that's going to be the excuse, at least from the likes of Afridi and Roff and Naseem Shah to Rabada, Ngidi, Nokia, the all-rounder Wayne Parnell, couple of good all-rounders and Maharaj, Nawaz and Shadab. So it's going to be a close call. It will be a match. Whichever team bats first, if they can get to 150, 160, it will be a good score which they can defend because whichever team can get to between 165 and 170 tomorrow, they can. They will have a good chance to defend that score because I think this obsession with bowling first has slightly taken a turnaround. So whichever team can reach that elusive score of 170, considering how both the teams' bowling lineup shape up, then the other side has all the arsenal, the resources, the cerebralness to defend that score. I don't know who will, but it's going to be a close call. And why am I saying they have good bowling lineup? Because let's say they have. I'm not saying India doesn't have, and I don't think bowling at 150, 160 all the time is the solution to most things. But we are obsessed with it. We have this strange obsession with fast bowling and 150 plus kind of bowling. That's the way humanity has worked for centuries. So who knows what will happen tomorrow. South Africa wins, Pakistan is out. Pakistan wins, they go to 4 points. Bangladesh's scenario becomes difficult. India remain at 6 points. India beats Zimbabwe, which I presume they can. Then they go to 8 points. South Africa also has one more game, possibly against Bangladesh. Not against Bangladesh, but against possibly Netherlands. They will probably beat Netherlands by a good margin. South Africa will end up at 9 points, let's presume. If they win tomorrow, India will end up at 8 points. And at the best, Pakistan and India could end up at 6 points if Zimbabwe tries to be a spoiled sport and beats India. But we have seen what happened tonight. So Bangladesh lost to Netherlands tonight, so they would be unhappy with the situation. And that's how things work in this particular sport. That's how the sport is defined. I don't know what will happen in the remaining matches. The other side, I don't know what will happen. Sri Lanka still has a chance. England still has a chance. Australia has to take that runway to north of so much. New Zealand still is somewhere there. England is still somewhere there. So 4 teams from that group, 2 teams will qualify here. India needs to win one more because of another team. So who knows what will happen? Do you know what will happen? No. Will you tell me what will happen? Please do, because I'm very interested to know what will happen. But what can happen is that the Hockey Mini World Cup, or the Pro League as they like to call it, is the best preparation for the perfect preparation for the World Cup, which is a few months away in January 2023. Now, some of you will ask me, what is this Hockey Mini World Cup Pro League? It's a tournament. It's not as if all the teams are playing together. It's like a point system. Each team plays the other in their hometown, home and away basis. Like India played against New Zealand and Spain. They play against Spain again on this Sunday or Saturday, whatever the schedule is. Then they will travel to other countries to play the likes of Britain and Germany and whatever teams are there in this tournament. I have already told you what teams are there, but the most important thing is, can India win the Hockey World Cup next year? I think this is the best 15, 20 member squad. Yes, it was there before also, but this group, I won't go into names because that's not important right now. Yes, the ones in the 70s, 80s, we're all obsessed with them. Dilip Turkey and Dhanraj Pillai, good for them, but they're retired. They cannot do anything. They can maybe be administrators. More than that, they cannot do anything on the field. So this group, they can do the job. They have the pedigree, they have the experience, they have very good players. So next year's Hockey World Cup, I'll say that India has a good chance. Even if they don't, even if they can take it to right till the end, because hockey games can be exciting. Yes, there's no concept of over and super over and 20 needed from 12 and things like that, but it doesn't matter. The most important thing is hockey games, as the clock counts down, it becomes more interesting. You're 2-all, 3 minutes to go. Anyone can score and make it 3-2. If 2-all is the final result, you take it to the shootout, which is even more interesting. And that is why I want bowl outs when the match is tied. I do not like the concept of super overs, but a large majority doesn't like the concept of bowl out. They think bowl out is a little too ambitious and a tad inappropriate, and it doesn't get that excitement going like a super over does. But I disagree with it. I have seen the bowl out scenario. I think it's perfect. I don't care if it's a football or a hockey scenario in a cricket match. I don't care. It's perfect. It should happen. Hitting the stumps more difficult than bowling that one super over where we know the rules are biased. 2 batters are out, the game is over. I do not like that concept. But then we'll talk about that on a later date. Does India have a chance? Will the 48-year-old wait end? Well, yes, it will, but I don't think the media is going to push this particular tournament, the Mini World Cup and the main World Cup, like it has been pushing other tournaments, like we saw with Chirag and Shetty, like we saw with other tournaments. I don't think they are pushing. I think they're more excited about the Football World Cup, a World Cup where India is not even participating. So I have no interest in the Football World Cup. It's in Qatar or somewhere else. I have no interest. I really don't care. Because if India is not part of it, what's the fun in watching it? Episode 588 will come to you live on the 4th of November 2022.